we got into yield, and the reason why I finally pulled the trigger on, hemp and CBD, the cannabinoids coming from hemp was, I was always, you know, somewhat interested because the plant itself was very interesting, right? And then, being in a fraternity, I had a lot of friends who, did, whatever, and I was never in that aspect of it. But the thing about it
Me
is
neither.
that
Yeah.
you knew that there was medicines inside, right? And it had to be.
People told me there were, right? I just had to
Yeah,
go off the
yeah.
assumption there was some.
Right. There are things there are things that make you happy, but there was probably medicines inside. So, I always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. But when the Farm Bill passed, which legalized basically hemp, then I thought, well, okay, that gives us a little bit more regulatory certainty that, we can make some investments in this. And so this is when, once the Farm Bill passed, we pulled the trigger and we bought a small farm in Nevada. It was a small outdoor farm, about 23, 25 acres. Listen, that first year was, for me, was a huge learning process, right? About just outdoor cultivation, right? And what genetics works outdoors and what genetics produces the highest yield of the product that you're looking for. And, we were basically, Yield Scientific was started to basically, own and learn and basically enhance the genetics of the hemp plant so that we could produce some of the best products as possible from an extraction perspective. To optimize yield so that
Hence the name
we
Yield Scientific, right? Using science
to
generate the best seeds, the best plants,
seeds
the best
that would grow in the best
pharmaceutical
conditions,
grade,
right?
weekly output
That's
on a
right.
regular
And so,
basis.
but what we found out was that, what? Outdoor growing is hard.
Yeah.
We should have not succeeded by any measure of the means. We should have not succeeded in 2019.
Nobody around you did.
No. So the interesting story is that we were surrounded by multi-million-dollar farms that made bets in our area. They didn't produce zero. We planted 23 acres, and just because we would have had about 23 acres harvested, but we only harvested about 8 acres because at the end, the last like 3 weeks, 4 weeks before harvest, we had a locust invasion. Who knew that?
I mean, once every 20 years.
Who would call in for a locust invasion, right? And so,
that's
like
why controlled environmental agriculture, where you truly are able to have as much control. You can't take out all the variables.
No.
You take out the ones that you can control. Now it's high capex up front, right? It's high money invested to build a greenhouse and have all the machinery and equipment and the right seeds and everything. But that's your guys' model is to grow on a weekly basis.
To
right?
optimize yield, and this from a business perspective, almost from any perspective, if you want to optimize yield in anything, you have to be able to control as many variables as you can.
Right.
And in an outdoor grow scenarios, we could not control the
you
major
can't control
variables.
Sun, you can't control wind, you can't control rain, you can't control locusts.
Yep. And so this was the biggest
and you guys
takeaway.
The craziest thing was so I've been to the farm in Nevada and seen it multiple times. Craziest thing is Mike said it right. There were multi-million-dollar operations around him that failed miserably. Like they couldn't get. I'm not joking.
They couldn't even get seeds in the ground.
They couldn't get a tractor out of the mud. And I'm not kidding. I saw the tractor stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
He knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That was right down the way from
Yeah.
y'all. These guys were, I don't know if they were, this industry was just overcome with all this extra capital and they weren't using it from a business standpoint very well, but you guys were successful when nobody else was, despite all those challenges, right?